I pretend that I'm lost in thought while I sneak a look out of the corner of my eye. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on, laying out a pavement in my head.
Hello, it is Candace, your self-love financial coach, and I empower inspired people to have a healthy relationship with themselves and with their money. First off, make sure you click the button below and subscribe to my channel so that you can get these great tips that I'll be sharing with you. We're going to have interviews. We're going to have just great information about great information. So subscribe below. So first off, let's get into exactly what we're going to be sharing today. Can you trust your tax professional to do what they need to do for you? It's a great question. Sometimes I know we get comfortable. We've been working with these people for a long time. Sometimes we use our cousins or aunts and uncles to do it. But at some point in life, we have to begin to ask questions. Am I getting what I deserve from my tax professional? From a holistic perspective, I guess that's a good way to look at it. So what I want to do is I want to give you 10 questions that you can ask your tax professional, and similar to interview questions, just to make sure that they're a good fit for you. Because just as if they're doing you a good favor, I'd say, by helping you with your taxes, you're also helping them by going to them and being a customer for them. So we should have a great relationship together, and we can be a good fit. So these are 10 questions you can start with. Number one, the first question I would encourage is ask them, what are your credentials or designations? How long have you been doing taxes? That's a great question, because sometimes people can just jump into the tax game and, they may not know what they're doing. So this is a great question to ask, in a nice way. What are your credentials or designations as it relates to taxes? But do you know what you're doing is really what you're asking, but don't ask them that, okay? All right, the second question, number 2, do you do taxes full time? Sometimes you have so many people that get into taxes and they start in January and then they end in April, and then you don't see them anymore for the rest of the year. I've seen it happen so many times. So what I encourage, ask them, are they full time? Do they have an office that you can, show up to, the location, that kind of thing? And they don't necessarily have to have these things. I'm not saying they do. What I'm saying is, whatever you're looking for, make sure that they're matching what you're looking for, okay? That's just an encouragement. Number 3. What percentage of their returns are they doing as personal or business, right? What percentage? If you're a business owner, especially if you're a business owner, you need someone who understands the business tax law. If you're not a business owner, it's fine. You can still ask this question. But if you're thinking of becoming a business owner, if you have a tax professional that prepares for business people and business returns, you'll be able to stick with that professional, and they'll be able to give you details and information on what kind of business you should be opening up, because they'll know those kind of details. So that's number 3. So let's make sure we got it. Number 1 is, what are your designations, or do you, kind of know what you're doing in a way? Number 2, are you doing this full time? Am I able to come show up at your location in the middle of the year and still be able to get services, or are you going to disappear on me? Number 3, what percentage of returns are you doing personal versus business, especially if I'm a business person or person getting ready to open a business, okay? Number 4, this is important. You ready? Are you ready? How much does it cost? But don't ask that question. Do you have a fee schedule? That's a better question, okay? When we get into and thinking about the cost of things, sometimes we can be kind of, cheap. Don't be cheap, especially with your tax professional. Don't shy away from the fees. It's okay. Ask them, do they have a fee schedule, though, so that if they're going to give you a flat rate, get your flat rate. Know if you have additional schedules, if that's going to cost you more. Or are they charging you by the piece of paper? Some people charge by form. Some people charge by time. But you want to know what the fee schedule is so that you know what you're paying for and how much that may be by the time you get done. The worst thing that could happen to you is if a person tells you, oh yeah, we start at $200, and by the time they finish with all of your stuff, you have a $500 tax return. Well, that kind of sucks because you weren't expecting that. So just know what the fee schedule is. That's a better question. Don't ask, how much does it cost? Oh my goodness. Don't ask that. ask, what is the fee schedule? Do you have a fee schedule, and can you tell me how that system works for you? Number 5, are you personally conservative, aggressive, moderate as it relates to the tax returns? This is important because whenever a person is getting ready to do your taxes, you want to know if there's a tax deduction, right, that you qualify for. Are they going to be conservative to say, oh, well, we're kind of on the line, or we're over the line? Like, you want to make sure that their personality matches your personality as it relates to the law and as it relates to being in the tax field. Because honestly, the way I look at it is, if I know the law, I'm aggressive in that thing, okay? I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give you everything you qualify for as it relates to the tax law, because you qualify for it and you deserve that. So make sure that that person's personality matches your personality, or if you're conservative as a person, you may want them to be aggressive because you want the most out of your tax return. So that's very important. Number 6. Number 6, does your tax professional have a system that allows them to do a review process? Understand that everybody during tax season is getting their taxes done at the same time, right? Well, if that's happening, if they're doing 200, 300, or 400 tax returns, guess what? They're tired. Do they have a review process? Ask them, hey, do you have a review process so that someone else is helping you with the returns? That also helps you to be comfortable to know that the small things and small mess ups aren't happening to your return because that professional is tired. That's a real thing. We're still human, although you want us to be this great big superhero. I mean, that's wonderful, but we're human, okay? So ask them, do they have a review process? All right. Number 7. Do they give education on tax deductions? Oh my goodness, this is a big one. Many times when people get into, especially if you're a business owner and you're getting ready to, let's say, buy a home, how will those tax deductions affect you buying a home? Is your tax professional asking you, hey, do you plan on making any large purchases or major purchases within the next year or 2? Those things are important, especially if you have future plans on buying a home and things like that. So do they give education on tax deductions and how those tax deductions affect you? All right. Number 8, how do you feel about tax audits? That's a real question, because I've seen to where the tax professional does the return, that person comes back and they may get an audit, and just understand that audit just means, hey, we're going to double check and make sure that everything you put on your return is correct and you have proof of it. It's not technically a bad thing the way it sounds, okay? So if you do get an audit, how does that tax professional feel about tax audits? I've seen to where the tax professional does the return, the person comes back and they get the audit, and then the professional just disappears. They don't answer the phone. They're no longer there. And understand that you can get a state audit and not get a federal audit. These things are very important to know when it relates to your taxes. So how do they feel about tax audits? Are they going to help you through that process? Is there an extra fee for that process? Is there a way that you can get that done with that tax professional? Very important to know. Number 9, how do they treat gray areas? This kind of goes back to if they're conservative or aggressive, but gray areas in the tax game is a real important thing, because if they're in the gray, right, and we know we want it to be black and white, but it doesn't always work that way. So if they're in the gray with the tax game, how do they treat it? Do they go ahead and go for it, or are they taking a step back and being conservative? Very important. Number 10, last but definitely not least, do they offer tax planning? And when we say tax planning, what does that mean? Do I know what tax season look like before we actually get to tax season? That's tax planning. I don't want to wait until December to go and see my tax professional and say, hey, am I ready? No, we can't fix anything after December 31st. There's nothing you can do to your taxes for that next year to fix anything. You want to have tax planning to where you're seeing your tax professional 2 or 3 times a year to make sure that you're okay. So do they offer those tax planning services? Are they going to give you strategies to make sure that you're paying the right amount of taxes? And if you're having trouble, then let's figure out some strategies to make you keep some more money. Do they offer tax strategies? So can you trust your tax professional? I hope so. But hopefully these 10 tips or 10 questions and interview questions will help you to determine if you can trust your tax professional or not, to be as good as you need them to be for you. They may be great people, right? But are they good for you? And you'll be able to ask them these questions. Before you go, make sure you click the button to subscribe below and make sure that you see us. We're going to shoot videos. We're going to talk to you, give you tips every Sunday. Every Sunday, we're giving new information just for you. So make sure you subscribe below so you can get the great information. It is Candace, your self-love financial coach, and I'll see each and every one of you at the top because the bottom is way too crowded. Thank you.